Yes, good morning. In my talk show last week, you heard Dr. Nandini Munkur, who spoke of childcare in its early years. Today, let me focus on the status of early education in our country. To discuss this crucial issue, I have with me in the hot seat Mr. Ashok Kamath, who heads the Karnataka Learning Partnership, KLP in short.
You should say Akshara Foundation. I am chairman of Akshara Foundation.
So you are chairman of Akshara Foundation,
Yeah.
and what about this KLP?
KLP is a framework, right?
Because
It's a
we are
platform.
focusing on KLP.
It doesn't matter. We'll bring that in.
Acha, acha. Who heads Akshara Foundation
I am chair.
and also
Who have devised the KLP? and the
okay,
HERWORK.
fine. Who have devised? Huh? Chalo. To discuss this crucial issue, I have with me in the hot seat Mr. Ashok Kamath, who heads the Akshara Foundation and which has devised the Karnataka Learning Partnership KLP, a public platform where all the stakeholders involved in primary education can participate and contribute to the cause of ensuring better schools and education for all children. Incidentally, Mr. Kamath was one of the active members of the education group of ABIDE, Agenda for Bengaluru Infrastructure and Development Task Force that formulated rules to implement the Right to Education Act. Sorry. Mr. Kamath graduated from IIT Mumbai. He worked for the semiconductor industry for nearly 25 years. He retired in 2004 as the MD of Analog Devices India, and now he is focusing full-time on social activities. Karnataka Learning Partnership has collected a large data bank of information on primary education and is ready to share it with our elected representatives so that they can act upon it. How does KLP actually function? How can one contribute to it? How has been the response of the elected representatives to KLP data? Let us ask the esteemed guest. Welcome, Mr. Ashok Kamath.
Thank you very much. If I may call you Balram.
Yes, you call me Balram. Mr. Kamath, what is the status of early education in our country and of course Karnataka? How does it compare with the West?
Okay. I don't think we can even start to compare it with the West. Recently, the OECD countries published something called the PISA report, and that had, for the first time, 2 states from India participated from it. They were Tamil Nadu and Himachal Pradesh, which are considered to be the leading states in the Indian context with respect to early education. And the sad part is that we came at the bottom of the pile. We were slightly above Kyrgyzstan. And let me assure you that many of us will not know where Kyrgyzstan is on the world map. And we are at that level. Shanghai, China came at the top of the pile. So when we see all these comparisons between India and China, you can start to see, where they have gone and where we have, struggled to be. Having said that, all is not lost, right? We always want to look at what is positive. You will also find that in the top 10% of high performing children, India has a very prominent place. So like everything else in India, we have a very contrasting scenario. We have the best and we have the worst.
So that is the scene.
That's really the scene.
Tell me, Mr. Kamath, who is to
Please
blame?
call me Ashok.
Acha. Okay. Ashok, who is to blame for all this?
All of us. You are equally guilty as I am, because we are the people who ignored the large public sector education system. I did not send my children to government schools, and neither did you. We took a bypass. We went to private schools, missionary schools, international schools, whatever you want to call them, and we took the easy way out. If we had stuck around and you ask your grandfather, his time, the public school system would have been much better than today. And they would all have studied there. And they have all performed well in the world. So over time, I think much of our society today has kind of abdicated this role. We've gone away And you can see this in every walk of life. When electricity doesn't come, we switch on generators. When water supply is missing, we throw in bore wells, right? So we don't hold the system accountable, and then we sit down and complain. So I think that cycle need to be broken at some point of time.
Ashok, you have launched the Karnataka Learning Partnership. What are its objectives?
Okay, so we started to say, if we want to see the impact of our work, what do we need to do? So the first thing you need to do is to say, okay, I created this new method of teaching children how to read or do math or whatever that you do. And we made an investment in making it happen to scale. We just didn't do it in 5 schools or 10 schools. In Bangalore, we've done it in all 1420 government primary schools. So we've gone across the city, looked at children and said, how many of them can read? So you'll be surprised. In 2006, when we did this diagnosis, we found that 50% of the children between standards 2 and 7 going to schools, have been in schools for 4 or 5 years, could not read. This is not surprising. You go home and check your maid's children, you find similar problems.
They keep going to schools, but they don't learn anything.
But they are unable to learn anything. The quality of education is, sadly neglected.
So what are the objectives of KLP?
So what we did really is to say, okay, it's not enough to say 50% can't read. It's which are that 50% and how do we help them, right? And we want to track them and to see where they are. So we started to collect, information on children and on schools, and started to analyze, what works, what does not work. And we shared all of this with government. Now I think we having done this for several years, we now feel that what we have done can be shared with a range of stakeholders. It can start with other NGOs, it can go to the elected representatives, it can go to education department officials at various levels, from the school teachers, headmasters, all the way to the Commissioner for Public Instruction should be aware.
Have you made a beginning? Yes,
we've shared data at all levels,
okay,
right?
Okay.
And then finally at the last, I think you and me should also have access to information. Otherwise, how do you decide what to do, right? So if we have a framework where somehow we can engage every citizen of the city to participate, then I think we can make great strides in improving the quality of education.
I believe, Ashok, we have something called Share Your Story.
Share Your Story, yeah.
Can you just throw light up on that?
So the idea there is, I convince Balram to go to a school near his house. He agrees. So first of all, I think he should know what is happening in that school. So there is a feature on the KLP website. By the way, that website can be accessed by visiting klp.org.in. And once you go to the school, you can actually see the performance in the past of those children. So you have now a sense of what to expect. Then when you go, you make observations. You have your own, you may be there for an hour, you'll play with the children, you'll help the teachers. And really, nobody wants to go in to police them. You want to go in to help them, right? That's the best way of, actually improving the thing is by stepping in to help them. And once you are there, you observe certain things that are good and certain things that are bad. So we've created a little questionnaire, an area for you to give your opinions, and if you've taken pictures, to submit it to us. For us, it becomes useful because we can then collate it and aggregate it at different levels and share it with the appropriate people in government. So the next time they want to improve certain facilities, like I'll give you an example of maybe drinking water, right? It's not a secret that many places don't have potable drinking water. So what do? How does somebody know which schools are in need of it, which schools are not in need of it? So this way, citizens going in and coming back and say, guess what, there's no drinking water capability here. So how can we put that
in? That is sharing of information.
That is sharing of, so that information, if we can take and share with people in government, nothing like it.
Nothing like